Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Friday, July 24th. Thank God it's Friday, guys. Need a break. As you if you didn't see it yesterday, I did release a new website. It's out there right now, bluewatertradingsolutions.com or BW Trader. It is up. I still need to work on some of the videos. I don't have all the videos. I'm gonna have to redo a bunch of videos and a bunch of stuff. So that's going to be coming next. That's a kind of tedious thing, but I'll get the site out anyway. It has a different back office as well, a little bit more streamlined. And so take a look at that. Let me know what you think. Now the market right now is just kind of twisting in the wind. We are just stalled here. Yesterday we had a pretty good sell-off based on Tesla earnings and Google earnings and the negative reaction to it. Both got hammered yesterday, and that's kind of leaned on the market. Right now we're looking at the market, which is kind of holding where they left it. It looks like the overnight is trying to trade higher, but we'll have to just wait and see how it goes. You can see here on the ES capital flow chart how this whole distribution, the lower end of it is 73.50s. The upper end is going to be up here at the 7600. The upper edge is at 7630. But that's kind of the big area now. They were building volume here in the 75.50 for a while, that range. And it dropped it down a little bit, so they're going back and forth here. I would expect this whole thing to turn into one big distribution, unless we get a move out of the middle to the downside. In other words, taking out that 73.50, in which case we're going to have a bit of a sell-off, or we start making new highs. So that's the two options, but I think we have a pretty good range here. It's like a 200-point range where they are trading back and forth in, and that's kind of what we have to deal with. So to get started this morning, I'm going to be looking at a range bound market. I'm going to be favoring the short side just to get started. The overnight kind of almost negates that because a little bit of strength, but yesterday's trading was pretty good to the downside. And we'll see if we get the pause day or they're going to try to take it lower, even lower. We'll see. But I'm going to watch these support there. So initially, I'm going to be looking to sell strength against that 74.70s, 74.80s, rotations down. I'm going to buy against the 74.55s, 45s, 30s, down to the 74.20s for rotations up. Now, in buying the support areas with a little bit less aggressiveness in case this whole thing is going to start coming apart on us again. News this morning, we don't have a ton of news at 8:30. The only thing we kept coming up is PMI composite at 9:45 and the new home sales at 10. So 9:45 and 10 we get news. That's about it. So starting off range bound, if anything, I kind of favor the short side to see if they're going to try to take this, retest this low, maybe try to take it lower. The overnight gives you a little bit of hope that they may want to take it higher, but that early strength, I'm going to look for short setups against that until they take out that 74.80s, that high of yesterday. If they do that and start trading higher, I will be more inclined to look for more for a retracement trade back up into maybe reverse retesting 75.10 here again. So we got some range here on the upside, but this area right here, the 74.70s and 74.80s, looking for shorts against them. If both of them comes out, you're going to be leaning a little bit more on the long side and see how far they want to run it. So that's kind of the way on the upper end of this. On the lower end, we're going to buy against support areas, 74.55s, 45s, 30s, and 20s for rotations back up. And below 20s, same story there, looking to lean in a little bit more on the short side. I think at that point, they're really heading lower. So we'll see how this whole thing develops. But everything is going to just be captioned range bound, range bound, range bound. That's kind of the default until we see a move. But there could be a couple of moves during the day. Like yesterday, we have a couple of pretty good runs. But it's most of the time, it's actually range bound. So you want to be kind of watching that. So in other words, the breakouts will not work when it's stuck in that range band. It's just going to look like it's breaking out and then fail on you every time. But then when you have an action move happening, you'll see some volume kicking in, a little bit more conviction in the move, and that's when you potentially can try a go with type of trade. Nasdaq, same story there. They were even worse on the downside. They are all the way down here in this lower support area. We'll see where they end up here. Looks like this support area is going to start may grind into this a little bit lower. I'm going to adjust this a little bit just so you see what I'm talking about. Take this off and then go down here, and so between that area all the way down here like this. Here you have a pretty good area. They stalled it over here for a while. This distribution stalled yesterday. Stalled here. We'll see if the third time to that level they're going to try to take that out. That's going to take us into this low volume area, and you can see we can pretty easily retrace a lot of range on the Nasdaq. All right, so we had this crazy run here from the 26,000 all the way up to 3,000 points to the upside, straight shot to the upside almost. And that is something which, if that starts getting retraced, it can go another 2,000 points to the downside pretty easily. That would be pretty ugly. So that's what we have to deal with. The Nasdaq pulling back a little bit. Looks like they're finding some support here at the 28,500s. But I would be 4,500. But as I said, watch that very carefully. That comes out. It's not a lot of support until we get down towards the 26,000s again. So that could be a doozy actually. So looking to buy weakness against the 28,600s, 28,550, 470s down to the 420s for rotations up. And again, buying that with a little bit of caution because I'm still got a little bit of a short bias on this whole thing. And on looking for early strength, it's getting short against that would be what I would favor this morning. Looking for short against that 26,700s, 730s, 770s, 820s up to the 870s for rotations down. If they start taking out the 770s, 780s, I would start thinking about maybe a long trade. See if they tell you how far they want to run it. Still have a pretty good or potential resistance at the 820s and the 880s to consider. If they take out the high day session high of yesterday, well, I think we may look a little bit more aggressive on the long side, see if they can run it up here to the 29,000, maybe higher. And I think the key question for both the ES and Nasdaq today is: are they going to run down here and retest the lows again, potentially take them out? In which case, the Nasdaq could lead us quite a bit lower. That is the danger there. Not sure what this little reaction is right now. They run it just before 8 o'clock. There's no real news there to drive. It could be a foreign piece of news. We'll see. Listening to the financial news to see what they're talking about. And then looking at the bonds, the bond market, twisting in the wind, not going anywhere pretty much. They were down here, as you can see on the capital flow chart, all the way down here, challenging this lower edge. And I would say that we have a potential move to the downside building. So far, they are running stops and stuff like that below the edge. But they take out this edge and start trading below 109. Bets are off. We're going to be in the price discovery territory to the downside. So then you want to stay on the short side. Right now, I would look for a potential long trade for a rotation back up here. But given what's happening in the world, the bond, it seems like the yields want to trade higher. Not necessarily because of inflation fears, could be refinancing a lot of debt coming to market. So it's going to be more a competition about basically to be able to sell the debt, you have to increase your yields on it. Could be driving it up that way, or it could be inflation fears, or it could be both. So not sure exactly what's driving that, but there's definitely a trend to the downside on the bonds. So right now, I would still look to sell strength on the bonds, selling against the 120.22, 109.22, 109.28 for rotations down, and looking to buy against the 109.18, 12s, and 109.8s for rotations back up again. So range bound, still favoring the short shot on the bond. It seems like they're trying to grind it lower a little bit, a few ticks at a time, a few ticks a day. It's a very orderly move to the downside. It's not by any means falling apart, but it is definitely trading lower and yields are trading higher. So that's the bonds. I haven't taken any trade. I took a trade that the other day, but that was a decent setup. It just didn't go anywhere. Yeah. Looking at the cryptos, not much to going on there. The Bitcoin still at 65, Ethereum at 18, it backed off a little bit. It is all about that Clarity Act. We'll see if you can get that stuff together. It's unbelievable that it takes so long to get things done. But it's unless it's something to do with their own pay or vacation or something like that, then things gets done really quick. But otherwise, it seems to be as molasses. Anyway, so if that act gets through, I think we may have a pretty good move ahead of us on the cryptos. But right now, it feels very much like it's twisting in the wind. I haven't traded them for a couple of days. I took a couple of trades the other day. Right now, oil trading at 89, a bit backed off a few bucks, but we'll see where that's going to go. That's going to be the bigger thing, the oil prices for the overall situation. I think that's going to be a big thing for the markets if they keep trading higher. Right now, with all the stuff is going on, the fact that they're not trading at 100 or above is a pretty good sign. It means that the market believes this is going to be over pretty soon, and they're still getting oil through. There's still supply of oil. It's not like that disruption in the Strait of Hormuz is going to be anything long-lasting or effective. So overall, I mean, and as you can figure out, overall, after all that stuff is said and done, that strait is not going to have the impact it had anymore. People are going to find different routes for oil, and they're just going to bypass the whole thing, and that's just going to lose all its power. And that's what's going to happen in the means. So that's the side effect of the whole thing, but it's still very much an active scene. So it's going to be impacting oil prices and the market. So you just have to deal with it. So we'll see. So, but as you can see, silver is a little bit to the upside. Gold is just moving a bit, but it's not by any means. It had been pretty light on volume. Hasn't moved that much. So gold pretty light on volume. Silver not too much either. So I'm just taking that with a grain of salt. Watching oil, Bitcoin, and Ethereum right now on the crypto on the Coinbase futures. And these on that screen, these are all Coinbase futures. It's not the CME or CME group or anything like that. This is pure Coinbase trading. Back to the ES and the Nasdaq, and that's kind of where we left it. Looks like a little bit of strength building, so maybe we'll get some early strength there. As I said early on, looking for on the ES against that 74.70 and 74.80s, looking for short setups there above the 80s, may lean in on the long side a bit more. On the Nasdaq, I'm looking against that 28.700s, 730s up to the 780s for potential short setup. And above 80s, maybe a bit more aggressive on the long side, but not really leaning into it until they take out that 870, 880 on the upper edge. So let's see how this day turns out. And it's Friday, so don't do too crazy stuff. Middle of the summer, so volume is a little bit to the downside. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. I'll see you guys back at 11:30 for the next update. So good trading, and I'll see you guys back then.